Applied Reflections on Chapters 9 and 10, presented by Rachel Dunlap. Course is Healthcare Quality Management and Assessment. Instructor is Dr. Melanie Tidman, and the assignment is due today, August the 15th of 2021. We will start with Chapter 9, which is the Measuring Process and System Performance. Quality measures are defined as any type of measurement that are used to gauge a quantifiable component of performance. Another term that is synonymous with measure is indicator. This term is commonly used to describe performance measures and used within healthcare service organizations. Quality indicators are statistical measures that are indicative of the quality of a process or output. Performance management measures are used to provide feedback about a system's behavior or help provide an understanding on how a system functions by monitoring its ongoing performance and offering direction for further investigation. Performance management measures are aids that help identify or in the identification of patterns across processes to help better understand the underlying system causes and or structures that create system outcomes. By having a better understanding of this, a manager can better understand underlying system issues that affect performance. Performance gaps. In order to find performance gaps, the collection and analysis of measurement data is required. Measurement data is useful in setting performance requirements and in the reporting of the progress of the improvement process. Selection of performance measures. The requirements set by the customers, stakeholders, and the market set the foundation and drivers for all the work that is performed by an organization. It is these requirements that guide process design and define the criteria against which process and effectiveness are judged. Managers must select performance indicators that are linked to and aligned with their organization's goals, its business strategies, and the requirements set by the customers and stakeholders. Internally driven measures. These are the organization-specific and are internally driven measures and are derived from the organization's unique specific goals. Externally driven measures. These are measures that are driven by outside regulatory agencies such as the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services and accreditation groups such as the Joint Commission. There are several options when choosing a comprehensive set of measures. One of the options is a balanced scorecard or BSC. This is an organizational defined set of measures which provide leaders within an organization a concise yet comprehensive view of the organization's performance. The BSC measures 4 categories: functional status and well-being, direct and indirect healthcare costs, patient and family satisfaction and perceived benefits, and 4 clinical results. Each of these 4 categories are considered important for the effectiveness of a clinical process, but it can also serve as a guide for managers when they are selecting metrics for the measuring, evaluating, and improving the performance of their department within their organization. Another set of measures that can be chosen is performance management measures, which are grouped according to the Donabedian's 3 ways to measure quality, which is structure measures, process measures, and outcome measures. Structure measures are tools, resources, characteristics of providers, settings, and organizations. Process measures are the activities that happen between the patient and the provider, or what is done to the patient. And finally, outcome measures are the change in clinical status of the patient or what has happened to the patient. It is important that managers are able to recognize the difference between managing the measures and managing performance. They must see performance as the end result of their efforts and not just a reporting of performance indicators. The use of comparative data is better to understand how one's own organization is performing in the context of how other organizations that provide a similar service are performing. The use of this data can help identify an organization's best practice as well as aiding in revealing systematic structure problems. Numbers on their own are not informational. Chapter 10. Numbers have to be analyzed then the results must be evaluated in order to turn that data or those numbers into information. The National Association for Healthcare Quality has recognized data analytics in healthcare as one of the essential competencies for quality. These competencies cover 3 dimensions: 1. Data management, 2. Application of statistical methods, and 3. Transformation of data into information. There are 3 ways that analytics can be interpreted. Descriptive, answering questions such as what is happening, where and how often is it happening, what is causing the results, and when should action be taken. Predictive, used primarily to make predictions for the future and about key performance measures. It can also help healthcare leaders in identifying and utilizing trends and anomalies that can represent organizational improvement opportunities. And finally, prescriptive. This is utilized to optimize clinical, financial, and other outcomes. Statistical techniques are often classified into 2 categories: descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics is the summarization and description of data with the utilization of concepts such as mean and standard deviation, with the use of tools such as bar graphs and histograms. Managers are more likely to start with descriptive statistics to analyze data for the purpose of performance management because these techniques are simple but powerful to use. Inferential statistics is the process of being able to make an estimate, prediction, or decision regarding a population based off of a sample with the use of techniques such as hypothesis test and confidence intervals. Descriptive statistics manages performance in one of 2 ways: graphical methods or numerical methods. Graphical methods allow for the presentation of data that makes it easy for managers to understand and comprehend useful information. Different forms of graphs are run charts or line graphs, bar charts, histograms, and scatter diagrams. Numerical measures typically used to summarize a data set. This is useful for providing an objective measurement for comparing performance measures that occur at different points of time. Run charts are also known as line graphs. They describe a single set of performance data. However, it is useful to detect any trends, patterns, or shifts in performance measures over time. Run charts are also beneficial in the evaluation of the success of improvement efforts. Bar graphs are graphs that are generally used to describe a set of categorical data. Histograms is a graphical representation that is used to describe a single set of continuous data. Scatter diagrams is a 2-dimensional representation of data in order to determine the relationship between 2 quantitative variables of interest. Analytics is vital to a manager being able to understand if a process is meeting requirements. This can be done through the utilization of control charts. Control charts are also known as process behavior charts, which shows the difference between the voice of the customer and the voice of the process. There are 2 types of variation that are illustrated by control charts. Those are random variations and assignable variations. Random variations are referred to as common cause variations, which are the natural variations that are present in all measures of the healthcare process. Assignable variations are referred to as special care variations, which is the result of causes that come from outside the care process. The presence of these variables indicate that something irregular occurred. Assignable variations are present when the manager sees 1. A value that is above the upper control limit or below the lower control limit. 2. 3 or 4 values that are closer to the control limits than to the mean. And 3. 8 or more consecutive points that lie on the same side of the mean. Finally, the unbundling of data is when the manager takes generalized data and breaks it down even further. This then allows the data to be re-evaluated to see if the data was not inclusive enough, which means that the data can be broken down even further into smaller increments of data, making it more specific. biblical perspective. For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? The same theory can be applied to performance data and statistics in healthcare. Changes within a unit, a department, or even an organization cannot be made without first looking at the data behind how that unit, department, or organization performs, and if that change is practical, financially feasible, or beneficial. Any manager or administrator within an organization that has the organization's best interest at heart will not simply decide to make a change within that organization without first ensuring that they have all the information and data needed to make the best decisions possible.